guys, Yurgis, hope you're doing well. I'm in my garden today. I'm walking around with my companion Maxwell. Say hey, Max. Can't see it very well, but he's walking around with me. So it's been a while since I've reached out. I've been doing the St. Theophan, the Spiritual Life book. I've been blessed by that. I've read that book before, and if you're not familiar, I've uploaded, I think, about 23 or so of the letters of the book for you to take a look at or to listen to. And I would encourage you, in terms of the book, I would say that as you get ready for work in the morning or whatever you do in the morning, I would encourage you maybe just to play those letters, listen to them, and even if you just get a small snippet of St. Theophan, it's definitely worth the time and effort to to listen. You don't need to look at me, but you can listen to his words. I get inspired by them. As I think about the saints, and I think about just the amount of knowledge, wisdom, spiritual guidance, whether you have a spiritual father who can help you out, or if you just read, or a local priest or friends or other believers to help you. It's wonderful to get information and knowledge. I think some of you guys saw my initial trip to Mount Athos when I was a Protestant, and at the time I told you, I knew perhaps a little bit more than some Americans knew about theology, about religion. Of course, at the time, again, I was a Protestant, and I think that's part of our natural reaction to being interested in something, discovering something, is finding out more, which is nothing wrong with that. And so I've been blessed by the readings in the past, the readings from the Church Fathers. St. Theophan is definitely a big blessing. Let me show you something. I'm distracted a little bit. These are McCoy, Cloud, Regina, Peanut, Tigger, and let's see, Possum. And then I have Vision, who's a black one. You can clearly see with the orange on him. So anyways, I was distracted because I come here and they think I'm going to feed them. So sorry for that. I'm easily distracted. So I think that's almost sort of like what I was talking about. It's like we have an interest, we read, and then we intentionally desire to grow closer and to learn as much as we can, and we go down that path. That's not sustainable for a long time, and it's actually something in which your intentions initially were very good, to desire knowledge, information, but then it becomes sort of like an educational pursuit, an academic pursuit. Our knowledge is what is satisfied. Our thirst, our intellect, the things oftentimes we're very satisfied with, that we're able to deal with things intellectually. But as we go through Orthodoxy, and you might have an initial intellectual curiosity, unless you expand that to areas of your heart in which you're abandoning, in many cases, I don't want to say abandoning your intellect, but you're basically rediscovering that your intellect is not the center of who you are and how you receive things. And so spiritually, the heart going deep, making a part of our life is something. And so I guess as I've been on my own journey to Orthodoxy, as many of you have followed, it's like I'm becoming a believer that a theologian isn't someone who just studies books, the saints, which is important, but really the essence of a theologian, which has been said before, is that someone who prays. And so I find myself spending more time in prayer, but I also find myself realizing how insignificant and how sinful I am as I go in prayer. And that's an area where, if we're used to the intellect in terms of dealing with things, and then our heart, we go deeper and we pray, we start seeing things that could cause us discomfort. And I would say to you that that is a blessing, a sign that you're going out of your comfort zone. And when you go out of your comfort zone, you're allowing God to influence you, you're allowing the Spirit to work in your life. And so As I've been growing my pilgrimage my entire life, basically, God has opened doors and allowed me to see things to help me. I'm realizing the more that I know, the more that I've studied, the more that I've learned, the less that I really do know. I feel like I don't know anything. I feel in that zone where you get out of, I did this, I studied this, I know this, to the point where I don't really know anything, and so I feel that way. So, of course, but I feel like, the more that I've studied, all the information I've gathered, the less I really do know. As we go spiritually deeper and deeper into prayer, I'm still a great sinner. I still struggle, I make mistakes, as we all do, but, I'm able to reflect upon those and be a little bit more perhaps difficult on myself, which, contrary to what I think the world tells us, is not a bad thing, to be direct with yourself. So as I'm going through this journey, I got something to share with you. Over the past years, of course, I've gone to Mount Athos. God's blessed me to be there and to grow. I've visited Holy Cross Monastery quite often, a couple times a year at least. And it appears that I'm going to be able to, if you see this video, have a home. Not a home like I have here. I'm not moving. I'm not leaving my garden. My areas here. But I am going to have a place to put my bags, my clothes, my dog, my pets in West Virginia. So I've been thinking about that for a while. And so I'll let you have a view of the waterfall and the fish. I have that for a while, but it seems like the things have fallen through. I'm literally talking, there have been fires and ice situations that have prevented me from having a place near the monastery in West Virginia. But not too long ago, my spiritual father was driving along the road, saw a sign for sale by owner. And as you're seeing this, I ended up closing on a house, and we'll be there now working on it as you're watching this. So it's opened another chapter in my life. Again, we're going to be here, but we're going to also hopefully spend more time in West Virginia and just see how God blesses in that situation. I'm excited, but there's also that moment in which you're kind of nervous about how it's going to all work out. But it's exciting, right? And I will take you on this journey with me in terms of, as I've gone through this, I've talked about actually fire and ice situations that have prevented me from purchasing something there before, to the doors of opening. My spiritual father tells me that lay people and monastics who want to come to Holy Cross, or perhaps any monastery for that matter, there'll be obstacles. There'll be spiritual obstacles. There'll be things you don't understand. There'll be wave after wave sometimes, at certain varying degrees, of things that arise that cause you to reflect and say, do I really want to do this? And so the doors seem like they're opening a bit easier, but there's still spiritual thoughts and ideas. And I'll share that with you. When I go out there, I will share what I'm experiencing out there. I'll share the pros and cons. I'm expecting, of course, many spiritual pros, but I'm also expecting some cons of being in an area, state, part of the country that I'm not very familiar with. But what I've seen so far, the people there are very generous and very open. So I've already met my future neighbors, and they seem like we'll get along fine. So I wanted to give that news to you, and also I wanted to thank you for reaching out to me. Recently I got a message from someone who watched my videos, my first trips to Mount Athos, and I think I've spoken a lot about this young man that I say God has sent someone to be as an instrument to help me in Orthodoxy. There have been lots of people God has sent in our lives that help us and open the doors, but this one individual, Nicola, was a young man who, like I said, I showed up at a monastery I wasn't supposed to be at, walking all day, and he happened to be coming from an opposite direction. Not happened, but God sent him from an opposite direction. and we actually were in the same room at the same time, pretty much the only English-speaking people at Dionysius, and he really took me under his wing as a Protestant and helped me. So I recently heard very positive news from someone. He is still at Hillendar, and he is known as Father Longen now. That's quite nice to hear. So hopefully that noise they're cleaning, if you hear that, they're cleaning the community pool back there. So that was nice that you guys reached out to me and let me know of something I was not familiar with regarding my trip to Mount Athos and Nicola, now Father Longen. And I hope to be able to make it back to Hillendar, but also finally make it back to Gregorio. And then hopefully next trip I'll go back to Dionysius as well. So I wanted to give you guys an update on what's happening, a little bit meandering along, a little bit of a tour of my garden as well. But hopefully you're doing well. Again, I encourage you to keep watching St. Theophan the Recluse in terms of his writings on the spiritual life. Because it's not me, it's his writings that you're listening to. That will be a blessing to you. So I encourage you to do that, and I'll talk to you on the next Orthodox Gardener.